Stay tuned as I perform a magic trick, making 2 cigars out of 1. It's not as bad as it sounds, and it'll all make sense very soon on this edition of the Dad Smoking Cigars podcast. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Dad Smoking Cigars podcast, sponsored by StokyLives.com, Cigar social media, and of course, Casa Cuevas Cigars, from our Casa to yours. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you are listening on Spotify, Apple, Google, or wherever podcasts are made available, or you're watching on YouTube. Hello, and thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you, every single one of you. And it's another Friday. I really hope you guys have some cool plans for the weekend. I know I definitely have at least one cool plan for the weekend. I finally get to hang out with my younger brother, dude by the name of Corey Garrett, who, in my humble opinion, is honestly one of the coolest motherfuckers alive. I love my brother. Him and I have always had a great relationship, you know. And in the years, like when I was like in my early 20s, he was in his late teens, you know, we were super close. We hung out all the time. We went to movies. We did all this cool shit. You know, as you get older, you kind of change a little bit. And you know, I'll admit there was a period of time, because he is one of the busiest people that I know. And that is because he is an extremely hard worker. My brother, a talented musician, but he's also an extremely talented videographer. He's Pro Tools certified. He's spent a lot of time in recording studios. He does a lot of various video work for people who have hired him. He's done music videos. He's done a lot of cool shit. And right now he currently works for Quiet Cool Whole House Fans here in Southern California. For those of you who don't know, Quiet Cool is a company that prides itself on providing whole house fans, obviously meant to cool the whole house, but in an environmentally conscious fashion, because they use half the power that your AC unit uses. I have for a long time been considering getting a whole house fan. It is an investment. It's not like crazy stupid expensive. Like, you know, we had to get a brand new AC unit probably about 4 years ago. Thankfully, like, we had home warranty at the time, because it was the original late 80s, early 90s AC unit and HVAC, and we had to get that shit replaced, and we were able to get that at a reduced cost because we had home warranty. So if you guys don't have home warranty, I'm not talking about homeowners insurance. That's a whole different thing. Home warranty is where they can guarantee up to a certain point that replacing certain things, you know, it's covered. You're under warranty. There's certain things it will cover and certain things it won't. Covered our AC unit and most of the HVAC. So we paid minimal cost. I mean, still quite a bit, but we were able to get it all fixed, and it didn't put too much of a dent in our finances. But at the same time, it's spring. It's late. It's coming to the later part of spring, and it's starting to get warmer. Summertime is around the corner, so I'm going to be using that AC unit a lot more, which means my electric bill is going to go up, which is always fun. California, it gets really hot here. I mean, I know like places like Texas, Arizona, and, you know, New Mexico, and even Nevada, obviously all desert area, they get really, really hot. And we don't get it nearly as hot here, but at the same time, it's still fucking hot. And it can reach up to about 3 digits. I think the hottest it was in recent history was like 115 degrees at the most here. I mean, it doesn't get that hot very often. It usually hits about 100, maybe 102, 105, which is still pretty fucking hot. But yeah, it hit some record highs out in these parts a couple years ago. And I've never really been a fan of summer anyway. I like colder weather, or at least milder weather. That's just me. And I've lived in Southern California my entire life, so go figure. I just hate it. I don't like the summer. I know it means you get to spend time outside more, and barbecues and swimming. I do enjoy swimming. I do enjoy doing that kind of stuff with my kids, busting out the water balloons and watching them bust them on each other and have a good old time and all that kind of stuff. My water bill goes up because I got to make sure the lawn doesn't die, which is what happened in the last couple of years. And my electric bill goes up because the AC's on all the fucking time. So, Whole House fan, coming right back around to that. Something I've been wanting to possibly invest in the near future, but I got a whole long list of things ahead of it in terms of financial priorities or just different things that I want to handle first. Everybody has debts, everybody has different bills and stuff they want to pay off. I'm no different. Back to my brother, works for Quiet Cool, does all of their advertising and PR through creating videos and stuff like that. I actually had the privilege, because my brother loves me and threw me a bone, of doing a voiceover for one of those videos. And I've been wanting to do it again ever since, but apparently they decided to go with in-house talent. They didn't want to hire me again, but hey, I have that credit to my name, so it's still a win. So I'm gonna be hanging out with my brother tonight, and we're gonna be hanging out right here in my studio / man cave / place where I like to spend probably too much time, and it's my oasis. It's my sanctuary. It's a place where I can usually go and I'm not bothered. And hopefully myself and my brother will not be bothered, because we will be in here. We will be smoking. Probably won't be smoking cigars, if I'm being 100% honest. And I'm going to leave it at that. But right now I'm going to be smoking a cigar. Matter of fact, I'm going to be smoking essentially 2 cigars, but coming from one cigar. Need an explanation? Well, here it comes. When I was at TPA, I had the privilege of stopping by the Fratello booth, and I got to not only meet in person Omar De Frias, which we've had small little bits of communication through social media. Got to meet him for the first time, but I also got to meet one of his sales reps, a wonderful, lovely lady named Crystal Herbert, and she is a regional sales rep for Fratello. She goes traveling all over the place and trying to get Fratello into a lot of the brick and mortar places, lounges, and all that kind of stuff. And I stopped by, said hello, introduced myself, and we just had a conversation for a little bit. During that conversation, I pointed at this brand new cigar that they just put out, and I said, I haven't tried that yet. I'm going to have to soon. That's all I said. Well, Crystal, being the sweet lady that she is, she decided to hand me this cigar. And this cigar is the Vice Versa. The reason why it's called the Vice Versa is because it is essentially 2 cigars in one, kind of, not really. It is one whole cigar, but it is capped at both ends, wrapped in a delicious creamy Ecuadorian wrapper with Indonesian binder and Nicaraguan and U.S. Pennsylvania fillers. The thing about this cigar that makes it unique is that one end is capped with a basically a mild, I think Connecticut cap, while the other end is a much more bold and dark cap, and it is supposed to essentially start you off a little bit on the bolder side. So you have a choice. You can start on either the mild side or the bold side. Well, the thing is, I want to get the most out of the cigar, and I did see one person do this on social media, and once I saw it, I decided to myself that is exactly what I was going to do. So this could either go really great or terribly. I've never done this before, so let's hope that this works out. What I saw on social media is that a gentleman took the cigar and decided to cut it straight down the middle, essentially having it into 2 cigars, thereby getting to enjoy both the bold and the mild on either side. So this is what I'm going to do, and hopefully it turns out okay. Say a couple prayers for me, because it would break my heart if I ended up destroying this cigar. And I'm pretty sure, my guillotine cigar cutter is sharp enough to do the job. So let us pray. Okay, I have it firmly in the middle. Let's see here. I'm gonna hold on to do this without, really don't want to fuck this up, because I mean, it's gonna be entertaining either way, but I really don't want to fuck this up because I want to enjoy the cigar. So here we go. Okay, I'm just gonna do it, like ripping off the band-aid. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Oh, that went way better than I thought it was gonna go. That went incredibly smooth. Check that shit out. Those of you watching on YouTube, perfectly, I mean, just about perfectly even halves. Those of you just like listening, yeah, I mean, it clean cut straight down the middle. I mean, I don't think I could have gotten it any cleaner than that. My camera would fucking focus and we could see this even better. Come on now. But yeah, it worked out nicely. Very nice. Nice and even. Awesome. So now I need to decide which one I'm going to smoke first. Smells delicious. I love the aroma. So I think I'm going to start with the mild side first, and we're going to get going from there, just because, I mean, this is a trip. I've never been able to, I've never had a cigar experience like this. So I think that's a good way. It's a good way to start. Beautiful things that I should be, I mean, depending on how slow the burn is, I should be able to get, fairly quick smoke time out of either, while still, taking the time to enjoy it, and then I get to enjoy both, and I get to give you my thoughts on both. But yeah, how's that for a magic trick? I mean, nothing really magical about it, but at the same time, I've never done that before. I don't know if any of you smoked a cigar like this before, but yeah, I wanted to get the most out of it. I didn't want to just smoke one end, and then, yeah, come on now, seriously. All right, went with the punch cut. Not a bad puncture right there, if you can see it. Do cold draw, make sure I don't choke on long filler. Ooh, that's sweet. I like that. If only I had some coffee right now, but it's a little late for coffee. Ooh, that's toasty. Nutty. Slight bit of spice, earthy. I'm just. This is the initial stuff that I'm getting. But man, yeah. So while I'm enjoying this, I can talk a little bit about my week. It has been a very, just in between. Because I'm gonna go ahead and start over on that one. I am recording this on a Monday, and I always record on a Monday, and I usually work on a Monday and Tuesday to make sure that the podcast is out to you on Friday. But the past week has just been nonstop. One of the things that I'm personally dealing with is that I work part-time at a hardware store. You can guess as to which one. I probably said which one. You've probably seen pictures and videos of me wearing the garb that goes with the hardware store. I've worked at 2 hardware stores, the 2 main hardware stores that people go to, and this is the second one I've gone to, and it is one of those seasons, I guess, where there is a lull in sales, and unfortunately that means that a lot of us part-time guys and gals are getting our hours just sliced. And now I'm pretty sure that everyone has dealt with this at some point or another. If you've worked in retail, part-time, full-time, whatever, you've had your hours just shredded. Usually happens at the end of every financial quarter of the fiscal year, and it is a pain in the ass. I am not going to sugarcoat it. It is a pain in the ass. I mean, I'm a lazy person. I'm first of all, I'm happy to have a job. I'm grateful to have a job, because we all need to work, and I want to work. I want to at least work enough hours to help supplement the income my wife brings in, and make sure that I'm doing my part in contributing. Kind of hard to do when they're cutting my hours to shreds, but I digress. It is the nature of the beast that is big corporate retail chains and all that shit that I really could go on about, but I I don't think I should, because then this is just going to turn into a bitch and moan fest. But suffice it to say, I'm not working nearly as much as I'd like. So being home, I am looking for, well, I don't have to look for it. I mean, I have projects to do. I am busting my ass doing those projects. I'm completely redoing my front yard and my backyard in a couple different areas. Planters just being ripped up and pulled out. Sprinklers being fixed and capped off and stuff like that to kind of redistribute the water pressure in my front yard, make sure that the lawn's getting all the coverage that it needs, fertilizing, and I'm doing some reseeding in the backyard. I've been ripping up weeds and digging through dirt and getting all dirty and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, you know, it's tiring work, but I honestly enjoy it. I really do. That might surprise some people, because I mean, I don't know if anybody has thought of me as somebody who does that kind of stuff, but usually, and this is one of the best things about doing this kind of stuff, this kind of work at home, is that you're outside, so that's a perfect excuse to do yard work and smoke a cigar. And I try to take full advantage of that to every level. It's not like I need an excuse, but I'll take any excuse to smoke a cigar. And I think yard work is one of the perfect ways to just light up and smoke. Nobody cares. You're already sweaty. You smell nasty. So you might as well just smoke a stogie. And honestly, I feel like the smoke covers up the sweaty smell while you're working in the yard. But it's something I love doing, and I need the exercise. I'm not even gonna lie. So it is something I really enjoy doing, that I really need to do. So there's a lot of benefits. I get to smoke cigars. I get to get a little bit of exercise. My yard starts to look better. You know, it's a win all around. You know, I talk about needing exercise. Truth be told, I haven't worked out in probably 6 years. 6 years, like diligently worked out in 6 years. 6 years ago, I was in fantastic shape. I was much lighter than I am right now. And I was much healthier than I am right now. And it's interesting because it came on the coattails of TPE, coming home from TPE. I've already told you guys how I caught COVID for the first time, managed to dodge it for 3 years, caught COVID. And then immediately after that, like, there was about a 2-month period of time where you could have measured the passing of time by who was sick in my house, because everybody was sick. My wife caught COVID first, and all of us seemed to get away unscathed for a time. I went to TPE. Somebody managed to pass COVID on to me. I came home with it. I dealt with that. I lost my sense of taste for the most part, which was really disappointing because I couldn't taste my cigars. And even now, there's still a slight little muting of my palate. I can pretty much taste cigars, I would say probably about 97-98%, but there's just that little bit of palate interference that I have when I'm smoking cigars. And then immediately after getting over COVID, my two boys got a stomach bug, one after the other. They were both just bleh, all over the place for about 2 days, and then Daddy got the stomach bug. I was not bleh like they were. That is all I'm gonna say. But it was dragging along way longer than I felt like was normal. I was kind of freaking out because I just wanted to feel normal again, whatever the hell that means. I did not want to feel the way I've been feeling, because I just did not feel like my normal, regular self, manageable, maybe not the healthiest, but also not the train wreck that I was. And it was a shit show. It was a horror show. And it really got me into the mindset of like, I need to take better care of myself. Because in addition to that, prior to leaving for TPE, I underwent a sleep test because I was sawing logs with a chainsaw with giant, massive blades and a, steampunk engine. I was loud. I was snoring really fucking loud. My wife couldn't sleep when, she managed to, when she woke up, I would be, sawing those logs, making a ton of noise. She couldn't sleep. I was not getting proper sleep. I was nodding off almost at every turn. It was getting scary because I would be like with my kids sitting down and we were doing stuff and I would just start nodding off. Watching a movie with my son one day when he was homesick, nodding off right in the middle of it. I missed like, a segment of that movie while we were together watching it, and it was bad. I felt like I had nothing in terms of energy or strength. Got the results of my sleep test. Turns out I have severe, and that's not an exaggeration. That was the word they used, severe sleep apnea. And that shit is no joke. When they told me that I had 91 pauses in breath in the first hour, just the first hour, not throughout the night, which would have been bad enough. First hour, 91 pauses in breath. That means I stopped breathing 91 times. It was brief, but I still stopped breathing. That's some scary shit. So naturally, obviously changes had to be made. I sleep with a CPAP machine. I wasn't really keen on it at first. I wanted to maybe find a different way. I had a mouthpiece I was sleeping with for a while that helped. Felt like I was getting slightly better sleep, but then I get the machine. I'm using it. Oh my gosh. Night and day. Night and fucking day. I wish I'd done it sooner. I wish I had done it sooner. You know how amazing it is to go from getting absolute crap sleep, like the kind of sleep where just you might as well be an insomniac because you're sleeping but you're not really sleeping, you're not breathing while you're sleeping, and so not enough oxygen's going here. You're waking up fatigued and tired and you got nothing. I felt like I was dying. That might be a little melodramatic, but it just I felt like I had nothing. Like I was slowly on my way out. I don't know if any of you know what that feel like. I'm sure a number of you do. But my goodness. Night and day. I'm sleeping through the night. Quietly, peacefully, soundly. And it is a stark contrast to where I was just a couple of months ago. And so I went from that, went from not getting any really good kind of sleep for a long time to getting great sleep, which you wake up, you wake up feeling sleepy and groggy, but the moment my feet hit the ground and I start going, I'm good. And coffee is only a perk, a bonus, a benefit. And it helps me kind of stay energetic and get my day going. In addition to that, I'm intermittent fasting. I don't eat until 10 o'clock in the morning, and I stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, which I get really fucking hungry. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, my stomach's like, what are you doing? Where's the food? Where's the sugar? Because I had the worst habit, and I may have brought this up already, a worst habit of just late night snacking. And I don't know if you know this, but that's really not good for you, because I most times, especially when I'm in the studio shooting content, I'm up until 1 in the morning, because I'll come in here about in between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, sometimes a little later, get going, light up my cigar, start shooting, and then talking about this, that, and the other. And I'm in here editing a little bit, relaxing, maybe catching up on shows and movies I don't normally get to watch because I'm watching kids shows and cartoons and movies all day. And so it's my time to create. It's my time to relax. It's my time to really just kick back and enjoy. And I gotta tell you, eating late at night, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. I won't say how heavy I am, because I really don't think that matters. I just know that I'm the heaviest I've ever been. And, I really don't want to be in that spot anymore. And you know what? It's an interesting going back where I was all talk, because that's literally all I was, just all talk. I talked about, I know I gotta get healthy, I know I gotta make changes, but in my lazy, sleep deprived, oxygen deprived brain, I honestly, not even in the back of my mind, in the front, was like, fuck that, no, we fear change No, change bad. Change bad. We stay here. We do what is easy. We do nothing of value or benefit of health, mentally, physically, emotionally. We stay here. We're miserable, but it's easy. Because this isn't the first time that I've had to like take charge of my health. Because, you know, X amount of years ago, I was, again, fairly heavy. And I decided I wanted to get healthy. I lost quite a bit of weight. And I felt great. I was energetic. I felt like I was motivated to do a lot of things. And, you know, I was obsessed with working out for a while. And I wish I had held on to that. But again, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. This is, I think, the first time it actually scared me. Like, legit scared me. I am not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna lie. I was scared. Because, I mean, I'm 38. I turn 39 next month. I'm a year away from my 40th birthday. Just a little over a year. And I've been saying it for the longest time. By the time I reach 40, I want to have a certain amount of things to show for it. And it's not like at this point in my life I got nothing to show for my life at all. I got plenty to show for my life. But this is crossing into a whole different chapter of life where things start to count a lot more than they did, say, 5-10 years ago. Not that they didn't count then, but they especially count now. So I'm getting older. Definitely not getting younger. Still young, but on the older side of young. Who's to say how much time I have to get this shit sorted? Who's to say how much time any of us have? And it's one of those things where, like, okay, well, not getting any younger. And while I'm still young, I want to try and handle this shit. Because if I don't do it now, it's going to be a lot harder to do it later. And I can honestly say I feel better than I have in a couple of years. I think for a lot of us, when COVID happened, we're stuck at home. We had all these grand plans of what we were going to do while we were isolating, while we were in the shutdown and not leaving our homes. You know, it's like, oh, while I'm home, I might as well just, like, you know, do exercises, work out, you know, this kind of stuff. I'm going to do all this kind of stuff and eat healthier, you know, because, like, stuck at home. And that's the thing. We're stuck at home. Pretty much everybody had to start working from home. And let's face it, you know what's really easy to do when you're at home all the time? Snack. Snack and snack and snack. And you might even be able to trick yourself into thinking, well, like, I'm eating healthy snacks. I'm eating fruits. I'm eating vegetables. And you start eating more of that stuff, maybe throwing in some carbs here and there. Next thing you know, the carbs are overtaking the vegetables, the fruits, and the healthy stuff that you're eating. And you may be eating healthy foods, but you're eating way too, you know, your portions are way too big. It's just so easy when you're stuck at home and you're bored. When I'm bored, I eat. I snack. I find excuses to munch on food, and, you know, a lot of it is shit that I shouldn't be eating, at least not that frequently. And, you know, it takes a toll. It catches up with you. And it definitely caught up with me. COVID and a stomach bug and this, you know, the shitty sleep really was what it took to finally wake me the fuck up. You know, I'm glad that it did. It was a shitty situation, and I felt terrible. But sometimes that's what it takes, and we do ourselves no favors being stubborn, procrastinating, and putting that stuff off. If you are feeling ill health effects from, and you may not even know what's causing them, you have no idea why you're feeling the way you're feeling, but you're feeling unhealthy, you're feeling crappy, please go see your doctor. Please go see your doctor and lie about how much you smoke cigars, because I do. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about the fact that I'm lying, because they say, do you smoke? Oh, I have cigars every now and then, occasionally meaning a few times a week, but they don't need to know that. But for real, guys, if something feels off, physically, mentally, emotionally, go get some kind of help. You know, if it's physical, go see your primary care. If it's mental or emotional, you know, hit up a psychologist if you have the ability to do that, or figure out a way to where you can go see a professional, so someone who can counsel you and guide you through what you're dealing with. I'm not going to fuck around with this kind of stuff. You know, honestly, mental, emotional, and physical health, they all tie into each other. If you are feeling shitty mentally or emotionally, it's going to translate physically. If you are not feeling good physically, if you're feeling unhealthy, like you just don't have enough energy, you don't feel motivated, it's going to translate emotionally and mentally. It is going to hit you in those areas whether you like it or not, and putting it off is not going to help. Change is hard, it's difficult, it's challenging, but it's worth it. And I'm still facilitating these changes. I mean, with my mental health, I started working on that a long time ago through counseling and medication. That has been of just extreme benefit for me. But I also was neglecting certain elements of my mental and emotional health by not taking care of myself physically. And if I'm not taking care of myself physically, I can't take care of my family. I can't take care of business. I'm not motivated to work. I'm not motivated I wasn't even that motivated to do this. I mean, smoking cigars is easy. Creating content, I mean, it takes effort. You have to be in it. You have to be willing to do that. So, seriously, guys, I know this got a little bit heavy all of a sudden. Just talking about changes that I'm making, that I'm continuing to make. But I care about you guys, and I care about how well you're doing, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually even. You know, do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself in every facet of your life. Don't dawdle, don't procrastinate, don't fuck around. Because when we fuck around, we find out. That's just life in general. When you fuck around, you're going to find out, you know, I mean, really what kind of consequences come as a result. And if you're, you know, fucking around with negative stuff, you know, you're fooling yourself into thinking, oh, I'm fine, or, you know, I'll get around to it. You're going to find out that the longer you wait, the more time passes, the harder it's going to be. You're going to find out it's harder to get going. So just do it now. On the subject of doing things now, what I'm doing now, maybe what you're doing now, what I'm currently doing, as you are well aware, been watching me do or listening to me talk about a little bit earlier, still smoking the vice versa, the mild side, and it is very tasty. Honestly, it's a clever concept that I hadn't heard. I mean, I smoked cigars that have kind of touched on similar concepts. Like and I've talked about this cigar so many times. Blue Mountain Cigars, the El Threesome. It's just a funny name for a cigar, a little bit provocative. But the reason why it's called the El Threesome is because it's basically 3 cigars in one. Not like the vice versa, where it's like capped on either end and you cut it or just wherever. It has 3 different wrappers. It has 3 different, you know, binders and fillers throughout. And it was a segmented cigar all rolled into one, pun fully intended. And that was a journey. That was a ride. That was a roller coaster, and a very enjoyable one. But this, on the other hand, I think it's much more simplified in that the entire cigar is mainly one wrapper, you know, one binder and just a couple different fillers. But on either end, you have a starter. You have what, you know, I guess what you could call an accelerant to your cigar or something like that, whatever. Don't mind me, I'm just using different words. You have a different starter on each side. If you cut it in half like I did, or you could just start, you could cut off one end and start with the other, etc. You can do that if you want, but again, I wanted to get the most out of it, so I made it into 2. And the mild side was started off very nice, and it was quite tasty. I really enjoyed just what it started out as and all that stuff. So, yeah, man, it was a good kickoff and a very, you know, mild and sweet, very earthy, you know, some grassy hay, and just all of that kind of stuff that you would expect to experience or taste in a milder cigar. The sweetness wasn't very strong, not overpowering in any way. Started off subtle, and then it moved on into those kind of earthy, nutty, grassy notes. And again, I wish I had a cup of coffee with this, because I think that this would be a really great, a really good half to start with a cup of coffee. But maybe I'll get the opportunity again sometime in the future. Alrighty. So now we move on. Now we move on to the next phase, the next segment, the next part, the next thing. That is the other half of the vice versa. We are doing the bold side. Give yourself to the dark side. You don't know the power of the dark side. Here we go. Punch. Taste the boldness. A little bit darker, a little bit more chocolatey. Here we go. Kind of feel like these are like, because if you've seen the Ron Perlman Hellboy movies, then he would smoke cigars that were continuously this size, which I find interesting because he's such a big guy. Ooh. Very chocolatey, lots of coffee, lots of, well, as promised, the bold flavors that were discussed in the things I read about this cigar. Cap was coming a little bit loose at one because when I punched it, it's just a little bit messy, but thankfully it's staying together. Don't want any unraveling. That'll just ruin the whole thing. Don't want that happening. Now, the mild side was tasty, okay? No question about that. But the dark side. Now you feel the full power of the dark side. I mean, it just the Star Wars craze is like nuts right now. They just had the Star Wars celebration. They announced a bunch of shows, and so I had to bust out the Star Wars references. I mean, hello. You guys already know that I'm a nerd, right? I mean, if you're just now joining and listening to the podcast, I mean, you're discovering that now. But I am a big old nerd in a number of different ways. But bold flavors just coming through in spades. Chocolatey, coffee, earthy, little bit of leather. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. Yeah, I'm glad I started with the mild. Again, that was good. But this came in just like a Broadway show, came in kicking. Look at that. I mean, just rich, dark cap right there. Look at, I mean, for those of you who are listening, you can't see, but my goodness, that is a beautiful, beautiful cigar. Beautiful flavor. I love it. This is a unique experience. Just 2 out of 1. I mean, just making 2 cigars out of 1. I'm glad I decided to do it this way. In my humble opinion, and others might not share it, those who have gotten to enjoy the vice versa, I feel like this is the only way to do it. I mean, you think about it. You got a dual capped cigar, and it gives you, again, a different starter on each side. I mean, I would feel silly. Personally, I would feel silly. I'm not saying you're silly if you do it this way, but I would feel kind of silly doing it any other way, because I feel like I'd be missing out on something, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to enjoy this cigar again. Hopefully sooner than later, but I'm glad I did it this way. I'm getting 2 experiences in one, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's truly getting the most out of it. Alright, I have a confession to make. I have started to become hooked on those games. Now, I have an Android phone, and so I am, I don't know if I should be telling you guys this, but I have been downloading games in the Google Play Store, kind of games where if you play them frequently, you could potentially win rewards, cash, and gift cards. Now, before you think I am just a big old sucker, I honestly did my research. I did a lot of research into playable games on Google Play Store for Android phones that actually have cash and reward winning potential. Legit games where you can earn money by playing them. And articles like Penny Saver and a couple others, legit news sources, say that there are legit ways to win cash and rewards and prizes and stuff by playing these games. I am finding out, though, I'm remaining persistent. I am finding out, though, it's almost like, again, I don't know if I should be telling you this. It's almost like an MLM. I've gotten, I've never, Anyway, I've never gotten into like an MLM, multi-level marketing thing, where I was the one who was trying to sell stuff. I've had friends try to get me in. I remember one time I went to a Primerica office years ago. A buddy of mine, really good buddy of mine, he just hit me up out of nowhere and says, "Hey, I've told a friend of mine about you. She works for this insurance company. They want to interview you." And I'm like, "Huh?" He said, "No, they want to interview you." So he's like, I'm like, "What is this though?" I said, "Insurance." Now, my family's been in insurance. Like my dad's an insurance broker, been doing it for 40 years, as you might have. He was talking about in the last episode of the podcast when he was hanging out with me, or I was hanging out with him at his house. And my wife actually works with my dad at a place called Hub International, one of the biggest insurance brokerage firms in the world. And so, like, I have family in insurance. This is not something that is that unusual. I almost considered going into the same business as my dad years ago, and maybe I should have. I don't know. Anyway, I go in and I interview at this Primerica office, and they're telling me how about the earning potential and, you know, what I could do to, you know, earn a lot of money. I considered it. I even went in dressed nice, like I was going in for an actual job interview, because my buddy went through the trouble of setting this up for me. And so I went in and I listened to it and I considered it for a minute, but then I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, I don't think this is something that's for me. And then I had another friend who came. She wanted to come to, she asked to come to my house, and she's actually a good family friend. She actually used to look after my oldest son when he was a baby, when my wife and I were both at work. And so she was just somebody we trusted, somebody we knew, somebody we cared about, and she was a part of our family. And so she came and she pitched Primerica to us, and I'm just like, okay, apparently this is popular. Apparently this is something that people, you know, I mean, a lot of people work for Primerica. There's offices everywhere, but it is a multi-level marketing company. And the thing about those types of companies is you have to work your ass off constantly, and you have to convince people to buy the products and also sell the products, so that way it continues on down the pyramid. Again, multi-level marketing. It is a clever way of saying pyramid scheme, except it's actually legal, because it's not designed as a, you know, what you would traditionally see as a pyramid scheme. But you'd have to put in insane amounts of hours to actually turn a profit, because they all talk about, like, oh, well, if you convince your friends to jump on, and they convince their friends to jump on, and they're selling, you're gonna get all these residuals, and you're gonna be making so much money, and you're gonna be in the diamond tier, and blah 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 blah. And, you know, I will admit, my eye twitches just slightly when I hear these people describe themselves as business owners, because they're not business owners. They are purchasing product that they themselves have to pitch and sell to other people. You have to invest, buy the product first, and then try to sell it to people, convince them to buy it, and then convince them to sell it. You have your little, essentially flying monkeys that you recruit from your friends and family. And you know what? I've heard of people being successful with this. Even companies like Beachbody, who did like the P90X program, the Insanity workout. I did the Insanity workout. Now, I didn't become a Beachbody coach. I was given the Insanity workout programs on like all these DVDs, and I just did it at home, and I bought my own supplements from other places, and I just benefited from the workouts. I was working my ass off. I mean, it was kicking my butt, but I got fit, I got healthy, I was active. And so, you know, there's some companies that I feel like you might get more out of than others and stuff like that. I know a guy who I was a pool guy. I used to clean this guy's pool. He actually owns one of the most well-known, popular markets / restaurants over in Claremont here in Southern California. This business has been in his family for over 100 years. And he not only owns that and runs that business, but he also became a Beachbody coach. Actually made it into one of the Beachbody workout program videos through all his hard work. So I'm not saying there's no such thing as a successful multi-level marketing person, but kind of coming back to the games, you have to like play a lot in order to earn rewards. And I'm just doing it to see what might shake loose out of it, seeing if I could actually make a little bit of extra cash on the side. Definitely not a job, definitely not something that I'm going to tell people, oh, you should do it, unless I won big money. But even then, I'm just going to keep this shit to myself. There's plenty of ads and stuff out there advertising these games. So yeah, I'm not sure I should have told you guys all that, but the games are fun. It's a way to pass the time. And who knows, maybe I'll get some free Amazon gift cards or cash or something like that. I don't know. Again, don't know why I'm telling you guys this. But this cigar, it's really good. The other half, the bold half of the vice versa, I'm enjoying it. Really just nice, earthy, leathery, chocolatey flavors. It's definitely doing it for me. Now these cigars are limited run. They only made, I think, like 2,000 boxes with about 12 cigars per box. So if you want to get your hands on the vice versa, I strongly recommend that you do it now, because I don't know if they're going to be producing them again once this limited run is done and it's all completely sold. You can find them in places like NeptuneCigar.com, a couple other sites. I'll try to leave them in some links in the description or the show notes. But yeah, this is it's a unique cigar. It's a altogether different kind of experience. You can get a lot out of it. Like, I think honestly the way to do it is to slice it in two, to put, divide it into two cigars, so that way you can get the maximum experience out of both capped ends, each with a different starter and all that. And I look like a Catholic priest who's doing anyway. I'm gonna stop. But yeah, definitely check out the vice versa. Try to get your hands on it. Want to give a shout out to Omar De Frias and my friend Crystal at Fratello Cigars. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Crystal, for passing this along to me. You didn't have to, but you did, and that makes you a awesome person in my book. So all the success to you and to Omar and to Fratello Cigars. Fratello's a great brand. Definitely a brand worth checking out. I think that wraps it up here for this episode of the Dad Smoking Cigars podcast. I got some really cool stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you guys in the very near future. A couple of product reviews, booking up some people for interviews and things like that. Going to be hanging out with some really cool people. And yeah, I'm excited for some of the things I'm excited for all the things that are happening in the future. My outlook has definitely become much more of a positive one. I have my low points. Again, physical health translates to mental health and vice versa. See what I did there? I honestly did not plan that. That was something I just walked myself right into. But seriously though, in all honesty, physical health translates to mental health. Mental, emotional health can translate into physical health. If you're not taking care of any one of those things, then you can find yourself lacking or even hurting in other areas, and you're only hurting yourself if you don't take care of yourself. And I care a lot about you guys. The support you've given me is incredible. I really try to make sure I don't take it for granted, because again, I get to do this stuff and it's awesome and I love it, and I get all these great opportunities to just have a good time and enjoy smoking cigars and hanging out with great people. And the love and generosity that I've experienced from you guys definitely benefits my mental and emotional health, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for all of you. So thank you so much for your support, and I'm showing my support and encouraging you guys to take care of yourselves. Be healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally. Get the help you need if you need it. Take the steps to take care of yourself. And that way we can enjoy life all the more and enjoy cigars all the more. And that's really what this is all about. So anyways, guys, love you. Hope you're taking care of yourselves, staying healthy, keeping it smoky as always. And yes, of course, I will catch you guys in the next one.